Welcome to a Greater Reality Healing, Living, and Helping meeting. This program helps you take higher energy paths after big changes and challenges. This can create quantum leaps in your learning, growth, enjoyment, and service to others. The evidence-based information and holistic resources in this program can help you optimally live, heal, and help no matter what your past or current circumstances. This program is not designed to replace medical or psychotherapeutic care. The agenda for the meeting is a 20-minute presentation by Mark, 20 minutes of Q&A, and 30 minutes of sharing and discussion. The first two parts are recorded, but the sharing sessions are not. I'd now like to introduce our presenter, Mark Pitstick, MADC. Mark has over 50 years of experience helping many people in hospitals, pastoral counseling settings, mental health centers, holistic health clinics, etc. To learn more, visit soulproof.com/about. His ebooks, audiobooks, audio programs, and documentary film are free at soulproof.com/shop. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you very much, Allison, and welcome everyone. Again, if you've not and you can, please enable your video. And I'd like to see by a raise of the hand, how many of you have attended at least one Greater Reality program meeting before? Okay. And then how many of you is this your first time? Well, welcome. Your kudos for finding us, and I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised. So quick, a disclaimer. Yes, I have lots of training and experience, and most of all, I've learned so much from so many people over the years. I mean, some of them while they were dying, I was sitting them with it while they died. They weren't resuscitation cases, and they were telling me, gosh, if I could do it over again, here's what I do, and please go out and share this with people. So that's one reason I have so many answers, but I don't at all claim to have all the answers or the only answers. So be clear about that. What we want to do is provide you with more information, more viewpoints, so you can make your own conclusion. So please have a pen and paper or some device to record, because I'm going to share some key article numbers that you'll want to follow up on from this. So before sharing keys number 5 and 6 to optimally healing, living, and helping, I want to provide a brief overview of the program. If you've heard it before, please hear it again at a deeper level so you really know it and take action steps. Also, deeply internalizing, in other words, really knowing. Repetition is the mother of whatever. Knowing, deeply internalizing allows you to share it with others, to teach it better. So the term greater reality describes all that exists, the totality of life. And Dr. Gary Schwartz and I decided to use this term for greater reality living. We already have a greater reality university set up where post-material luminaries will teach. He has a list of about 40 people who have agreed to give classes once we have sufficient post-material communication technology to enable that. I mean, how would you like to hear lectures from Albert Einstein and Thomas Edison and and others about how we can help ourselves and heal our world, and what is it like in the afterlife for them. Now, synonyms for the term the greater reality include the big picture of life, the nature of reality, and how life is really set up. So you'll hear me use those interchangeably. And it's very important to transition your thinking and your speaking, and then why you act, to these more contemporary view of things, because you understand in the past, views about life, death, and afterlife were heavily influenced by ancient religious teachings. They did the best they can, except for those who predictably took advantage of things, control people, and perform a walletectomy on them. but they had limited understandings about life, death, and afterlife. I was just telling, I did an interview with the Shift Network Friday. I'm telling my dad was raised Catholic, and the services were still given in Latin. I said, "What was that like for you, Dad?" And he said, "Well, you just sat there and listened and hoped it was good news, whatever they were saying." That was just one generation ago. So now it's a whole different era where we have so much information and we can make informed decisions based on three things. First of all, yes, the golden threads of the great religions and spiritual teachings, what Aldous Huxley called the perennial philosophy. Also, what does your inner voice say? What does your soul's inner knowing say? And then finally, what's the contemporary evidence about the nature of reality say? And I believe that combination of three gives you the best view about what's really going on, and then you can base how you live upon that. Because it's very clear right now, based on much scientific, clinical, and experiential evidence that is based on firsthand experiences, that this earthly experience is a totally safe, meaningful, and magnificent adventure amidst forever. Now that means that is true no matter what's going on with you. If you have terminal cancer, if you've been raped, if you lost all your money, you had loved ones pass on, etc. That's really true, but it takes a while. It takes expanding your worldview a bit, expanding your awareness to see how that really is true, and it is, and that's part of what I try to share with this program, but it's not something I can tell you in one sentence and you'll get it. Dr. Schwartz and I compiled a list of 10 indications about the way life is really set up, and we call that the great news. Things like no one really dies, and yes, you'll see your loved ones again who have changed worlds, and you can communicate with them, have a different relationship with them now. That we each are integral parts of source energy, of the light. So you can see that list, and I'll show you that article in a bit. So the Greater Reality Program provides everything you need to know and show the great news in your life, to make that shift from what you've been taught, which is often fear-based and just wrong, to understanding really the nature of reality. And then you're free. And I think great teachers like Jesus and others say, you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Then it's a whole different earthly experience because you know all that great news. So the articles, the videos, the meetings, the sharing sessions, which we'll have later today, and follow-up support can help you heal yourself no matter what's going on in the past or currently, live the greatest life you have envisioned, and help others, and as a meta effect, make our world a better place. Now, I just said live the greatest life you have envisioned. You refers to your eternal consciousness, your soul, your higher self. And that explains why some people experience extreme challenges. Yes, it's not what their earthly self, their ego, their brain would choose, but it's what their soul chooses, because their soul knew from the place of pre-birth planning all the things I just mentioned. This earth experience is a blink of an eye in a span of eternity. No one really dies. It's an optical delusion anyway. It's only relatively real. You can't lose anyone, etc. So when you know that, yeah, souls who have forever are willing to go through challenges to help them grow, learn, and serve others, to spread love. That's what it's all about. So understanding this vision is so important that I'll say it another way. The Greater Reality Healing, Living, and Helping program provides evidence-based information and holistic resources to help you after major life changes that appear to be losses from a limited human perspective. We've talked about the average person is looking at life as though through a tiny pinhole, and then they wonder why things don't make sense. Well, if you could expand that a bit, just to a quarter size, then you see more of the big picture of life. And then like the Oriental sages, you go, ah, so so it is. You understand the great way, the Tao, and again, the great news, and it's all good. That includes when you're going through the bodily death of a beloved person or pet, financial reversals, illness and disability, relationship breakups, lack of purpose, struggling with loved ones who have mental imbalances and addictions, and more. You all know the list. I mean, this is called being a human 101. That's what almost all of us encounter. Now, to optimally handle that, to find the silver linings, benefit from them, and share them with others may sound impossible. But again, my training experience and what I've learned from so many people over the years have taught me higher energy paths that you can take after what seem like tragic losses. Albert Einstein said that we are separate, solid, we die, we're separate from source is an optical delusion because we just can't judge what's going on based on our limited five senses. So all these people, and some amazing people I'll talk about in my videos and presentations, they've demonstrated that you can have a breakthrough, not a breakdown. That adversity can make you better, not bitter. And with the information, resources, and support in this program, you can do the same. So let me screen share for a moment and show you how you can find these resources. First of all, we're at soulproof.com, okay? And then the top tab, articles. And this is where now the 144 articles. And if you're not muted, please mute yourself. I mentioned article number 19, the great news about the nature of reality. And then the biggest article on the greater reality healing, because let's face it, most people come to this party because they're suffering, they're in pain and so on, is 82, greater reality healing, a higher energy path after life's toughest changes. So all the different articles I'll mention are here. Then another top tab is shop. And this is where you have access to free ebooks. For these, I control the audio books. For example, The Afterlife Evidence, this one above my cursor. A small book with all of the scientific, clinical, and experiential evidence that shows clearly no one really dies. And we have scientific proof of that right now. A journal paper is being reviewed right now for that. So we're really an exciting time, unprecedented time for humanity. Here's a fun one, Ask the Soul Doctor. Answer 171 of the most commonly asked questions I received from people over the decades. So those are the books. And then 10 audio programs, again, all free. You can download them. Today I'll be talking about Ask Your Soul, Angels in the Light. This holistic breathing is a foundational audio program to help you release old wounds, misinformation, and needless fears, which turns out to be all of them. Kind of funny. If you want to have a pre-birth experience, here you go, past life regression. They're all free. I mean, I used to charge people $200, spend 2 hours with them in the office. And then I replicate it so people around the world can use these in the privacy of their home and share them with others. And then finally, the top tab, Greater Reality Program. And this lists the key articles. When are the meetings, how to join the meetings, how to receive automated updates, recordings, and suggested action steps. And here it is. Oh, we need your first name and your email address. And I personally guarantee you no one will ever get that. And then finally, under Greater Reality Top tab, then this is where you have recordings of past meetings. And then Healing, Helping, Living. Here are the videos I've mentioned. Now, for Living and Helping, there's only 3 30-minute videos each, because that's fairly straightforward. But to do what I mentioned, helping no matter what people are going through, it takes a lot to cover. So here are 18 30-minute videos. And you can just start and say, well, that one I don't need. Yeah, that one I could get help from. So that's enough information, and now you understand how to find that. By the way, this is not easy to do everything I'm doing. I hope you don't take it too lightly. You realize what it took to put all that information together, but I'm glad to do it. It's my job. All right, key number 5. So we're talking about keys to help you optimally heal, live, and help others, no matter what you're going through. And so this key is benefit from your earthly and spiritual support teams. So the bottom line is you don't have to suffer alone. You don't have to journey alone through this earthly experience, especially while you're suffering and grieving. Some people, when they're going through tough times, they go within, oh, I don't want to bother anybody. No, there's so many people out there who want to help. They're helpers. But how can they help anybody if there's not somebody to help? So the other thing is, like the wonderful Bill Withers song goes, lean on me. We all need to lean on somebody at different points in their life. I can look back at mine. Sometimes I reached out for help. Sometimes I should have, but I didn't. But it's okay to do that. And then when you get on your own 2 feet, you can pay it forward and help others. So it's a beautiful system. So whether they're close family members, friends, pastoral or psychological counselors, holistic physicians, there's a lot of people out there to help. So keep that in mind. Also, you want to expand your tribe. Many people on this path share with me, they don't have that many close family and friends who are spiritually awakening. So they seem like, the weird one in their family. So it's really important to have more like-minded and open-hearted friends. And I discuss in 2 different articles where you'll find those more advanced souls. And so the first is article number 16, called Evidence-Based Teachings About the Nature of Reality, and 66, Optimal Relationships for More Evolved People. So that's 16 and 66. Now, regarding your spiritual or higher energy support, I call my spiritual support team, that's the term I use for them, my angels, guides, and master teachers. And for me, by master teachers, I mean those luminaries upon whose teachings great religions were formed. So for me, that's Jesus, Buddha, and Kuan Yin, who's a female goddess who's recognized in both Buddhist and Hindu views. And I feel like they're part of my team, my allies. So let me share with you something that happened October 24. I had gone on a flight and contracted pneumonia. Somebody behind me is coughing really badly. And so I was sick. And I try not to use antibiotics or medications whenever possible because all the side effects. So my beloved Andy was doing acupuncture on me. I was using all these supplements. I was laying on a biomat. I was listening to Shaman's Journey. Oh my God, one of my favorite audio programs. And so I'm doing all this and I'm focusing on healing. I say a prayer. Thank you for helping me, pull all this, because I have lots going on. I mean, nearly every day I'm doing webinars and or interviews, counseling, working with people, and so on. So I can't be down. So I was in a hypnagogic state, and I saw in my mind's eye 3 kind of alien-looking beings, but very benign, working on me. And I not only saw them in my mind, but I felt them touching my body. For example, my right lower lung lobe was where the pneumonia was really most consolidated. I was a respiratory therapist in hospitals many years ago, and I felt hands touching my lungs. The other place was my mastoid and sphenoidal sinuses, and I felt pressure there, and I saw them in my mind's eye cutting out little pieces of bone. This is like psychic surgery to relieve pressure and to heal. Well, I noticed then after a while they were arranging these little pieces of bone in front of me so I could see, and they were spelling out a word. And the word was act as a team. I mean, I still get emotional when I think about it. Act as a team. And I wrote it down and I dated it. It was 11/11/24. And it's a little post-it and I see it every day. So that really deepened my knowing that we have help. I was brought up Lutheran. I said, angels watch over you, but there are levels of knowing. So for me, it really became much more real after that experience, and I share it with you, and hopefully it will be with you. So to learn more, I recommend articles number 73, Angels, and 71, Ask Your Soul, Angels and the Lights. That's 73 and 71. And then you can use the audio program I just showed you, Ask Your Soul, Angels and the Light. This uses deep relaxation / hypnosis and guided imagery. So you can get in touch with your higher selves, knowing, and that from your support team. And you can just ask them questions and then be silent and let the answers bubble up, pop in. So again, expanding and working with both your, quote, earthly and spiritual support teams will greatly assist optimally healing, living, and helping, especially when you're in pain and suffering. Key number 6, and we're wrapping up now, upgrade understandings about the source. And the source is one of many synonyms I use for creator, the creator and sustainer of all that exists. When I use the word God, I use it capital G-O-D, because that word God has become distasteful, understandably, to so many people because of religions that are still teaching ancient Greco-Roman images of the divine, big white guy in the sky and going to smite and judge and so on. That's so wrong. So you can see article number 89 of mine entitled Prayer, article 89, and I have a list of 35 synonyms. So when I pray at night, I say, Dear God, the light, the presence, oneness, all that is, great spirit. I go through the terms. I mean, most nights, sometimes I'm too tired. And it's just such a powerful way to remember that we're part of that. That's our true being. I mean, that's just such an important thing to remember. And then that's when you're really burning rocket fuel for this earthly experience. Now, historically, answering questions about the divine, the source, energy, was entrusted to religious institutions. And one small problem, there are over 40,000 denominations in Christianity alone, and over 10,000 religions in the world. So which one is right? Which one are you going to trust? Well, again, go back to that triad I mentioned earlier. So it's confusing for people to know which views are right and what's God really like. So, of course, I created an article, number 13, What is God Really Like?, to learn contemporary understandings about the creator and sustainer of all life. And it also discusses how you can develop a personal relationship with your higher power. But I'd just like to briefly describe for you, and I see Todd's on here, and we just discussed this the other day, my OM experience. And that is in 1997, I'd been meditating for many years. I was doing integral hatha yoga from Swami Satchidananda. So an hour and a half of yoga postures, breathing, and then meditation. So I'm in the meditation. It's winter. It's about 6 in the morning. My family's upstairs asleep. And so I'm mentally, silently using the mantra Om. And all of a sudden, I heard Om sung from around me as though by hundreds of voices, male, female. It was just so beautiful. I wouldn't have been surprised if I opened my eyes and saw angelic choir around me. But I had enough wherewithal to know that if I opened my eyes, it could stop whatever was going on. So I kept just saying, oh. Next, I saw a light. When you're sitting in front of a single candle with your eyes closed, it's pretty dark behind your eyelids. But in this case, my visual field was just bright, bright light. Next, I smelled a fragrance, the most wonderful fragrance I've ever smelled in my life. Again, despite having been in that room for almost an hour and a half, uh, nothing, incense was burned a long time ago. Winter, there are no flowers or plants. This wonderful fragrance. Next, vibration throughout my whole body. It was like when we were kids, we were kind of poor. So for fun, we did things like touch our tongue to a 9-volt battery. Bzz, you get a little buzz. Um, it was kind of like that, but stronger over my whole body. It wasn't unpleasant. It was just zzz, being energized. Finally, I felt the most immense love and acceptance, high regard, and tears started trickling down my cheek, just feeling how much each one of us is regarded and loved and assisted and guided by God and all that is. And so that went on for a few minutes, all of what I just described. And finally, I couldn't stand anymore. I just started laughing. And I said, "Oh my God." I opened my eyes, and of course, it ended. But that was my closest multisensory um, perception of Creator. So that gives you an idea of what that's like and much, much more. So that's about the keys. And again, you can see all of the keys. There are 18 of them in article number 82 and see which ones will help you with your own particular needs and goals right now. So I hope you read the articles, watch the videos to learn more about these, and also sharing them and discussing them with others is a great way, as we mentioned, to more deeply internalize this information. With that, we will start the Q&A. And so this is a time about 20 minutes if we need it, where you can ask your biggest questions, share your toughest challenges, and I will provide you with evidence-based answers, holistic solutions. Now, if you're going through something that's too embarrassing or personal, you don't want to share with the group, email me, mark@soulproof.com. My response will be brief because I get many of these from people around the world every day, but there'll be information dense, and I'll give you a lot of information, suggestions, and I'll say, get back with me in 60 days. We'll see how you're doing, and we'll go from there. So who would like to ask a question about anything I've talked about today or anything at all? Yes. Just speak up and I'll be able to see you. And Charm, yeah, go ahead, Char or Charm or whatever your name is. Your audio is blocked
Yeah,
here.
okay.
There
Can
we
you
go.
hear me now?
Okay,
Okay.
yes.
So, I'm kind of in a dilemma. My husband passed about a year and a
Excuse me
half.
1 second. Please
Yeah,
block your audio, everyone. I'm hearing somebody's phone.
that's mine.
Oh, okay. Well,
Okay, I shut it down. Okay, so my husband passed about a year and a half ago, and then about a little bit later, 6 months, a dear, dear friend that I'd known longer than my husband. And now my very best friend of 40 years has ghosted me. And I just, I feel like it's so much loss. And where do I start?
yeah, that's a great question. And that's one of the reasons we started this Greater Reality program, because we knew that most people can handle one thing pretty well, two things okay, but when they really get piled on, it's very difficult. So, yeah, you're in the right place and welcome. Well, a lot of where you start is what I just mentioned. First of all, read article number 71, which is called Holistic Breathing Technique. And that's 40 minutes, 35 of deep, noisy, diaphragmatic breathing. I'm leading it, I'm coaching you. There's all kind of different music going on. And basically, the brain doesn't know what to make of it. Because, as we mentioned, in the Hindu literature, it says the brain is a wonderful servant, but a horrible master. And so the brain thinks it knows everything, but actually it perceives much less than 1% of reality. So it's so funny. In a way, it's like a cosmic joke. All the things we go through are needless. All the fears, all the worries, and so on. Even what you're going through, and I don't mean to minimize it, because when you're going through it, it's very real, and that's why you learn and grow from it. So use the holistic breathing, and that'll help you cry your eyes out, yell, release all the anger, because it's very common when people are going through something like this to feel lower energy emotions. And so here we're talking about the map of consciousness from David Hawkins. Right now you're feeling stuck in sadness, anger, maybe even guilt. I should have done more, should have been around more. It's just part of our humanness. But that really doesn't serve anyone, those lower energy emotions. So each time you start feeling those, it helps to have a small rubber band around your wrist. Just snap it to do a reset, a reframe, and say, stop it, because these feelings, these views are based on old information. These loved ones you mentioned, they're probably soulmates. On average, we have about 25 primary soulmates and a larger number of secondary and tertiary ones. So these are your buds. They volunteered to be part of your cast and crew for this earthly play you're going through. So you'll see them again. You couldn't get rid of them if you tried, all right? You've been together before, you'll be together again. And what's more, they're now in your corner. They can become part of your spiritual support team. So they'll help you in your remaining time on Earth. So that's the first thing. The next thing is to read the articles I mentioned, or get my little book, The Afterlife Experience. No, The Afterlife Evidence, so you really know all the evidence that life continues after bodily death, because, yeah, it's the most common fear. And so that way you'll see all the evidence, you'll say, okay, it's not the end of life, it's just a change. That's another one. And then make sure you lean on people, like we just talked about, and I gave some ways you can expand your circle. It's an important time to meditate or use centering practices. And meditation I discuss in article number 51, and centering practices in article number 77. And that will help you then quiet the brain and get in touch with, the saying, be still and know I am God, and know that you're a part of God. Next thing, come to these meetings. Shoot me an email, mark@soulproof.com, with your biggest questions, your toughest challenges right now. So this is a community, and I know we're meeting online, but that's a wonderful way to meet. So you have all those articles, videos, these meetings, sharing session coming up shortly. You'll be able to share with others, get feedback, network with people, and then the follow-up support. So we're here for you. We have what you need to get through this with style, and as a result, to awaken more.
Okay, thank you.
You are very welcome. Any follow-up questions about that?
Only that I don't see how my best friend for 40 years who ghosted me is going to help me from now on. I don't understand that. Because she's out of my life with no explanation.
Okay, I'm going to have to stop you there. She's out of your life.
Yes. Well, she's in my head.
No, she's right. Yeah. Your loved ones who have passed on are probably right beside you, playing with the cat. And so that's the important thing to remember. Remember I said your brain convinces you that if you can't see it, it's not real. And in fact, that's not the case. And there's so much evidence for it. So what's needed is a shift to, okay, I can't see them with my eyes like I used to see them, but I know they're around. Oh, also, yeah, you seem to be doing pretty well. I think you'd be ready for this. Read article number 9, which is visiting with your quote departed loved ones now, because they're not really departed, and then use the afterlife contact audio program. It's called Afterlife Contact Technique, where again, deep relaxation, quiet your brain, and visit with them. And many people, thousands of people have used this, and they can see, hear, feel, and know their loved one's presence. So this will help you make that shift, and it will serve you in so many ways, because then you'll have less fear of death. You'll let your inner light shine. You'll get in touch with what are your greatest gifts. How can you share them? So there's so many benefits from this. And then when it comes time for you to change worlds, you'll have been through all this, and you'll realize it's just like walking from one room to another. Okay? If you're just getting started, you're asking great questions, and stay in touch, and we'll help you through this, okay?
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Who is next with a question?
Well, I can share something like as you know, like I believe you remember my story and everything else. So what I decided is like I'll try to raise my vibrations in some way that I could. So in this new province, like in Calgary, I've enrolled in a guitar class. I've never like played the guitar. I played the organ, but I enrolled in that, and I enrolled in some Spanish classes, and just to bring some joy into my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I also volunteer at a women's center, which I find it's very helpful to me, doing some work, giving of myself to others.
Good job. Yeah, thank you for those points, Marianne. Yeah, you bring up two. First of all, yeah, what brings you joy? And also remember the wonderful times that you had together. Joy, gratitude, peace, love, those are the highest energies. And that's where your loved ones who have changed worlds, they're in a realm characterized by those high energy emotions. So the more you choose to focus on those moment by moment, the more you're going to be on that same wavelength as they are and perceive them better. And as you say, one of the best ways to heal, to make this transition when loved ones pass, is serve others. Offer up your pain and serve others who are in need. Thank you very much for sharing those words of wisdom. I know that they're hard-earned.
Very hard-earned, because I mean, it's just started with Sayuri, then with my mom, then with my husband, although I didn't have a good relationship with him, and now my brother is having cancer.
Yeah.
And
I know if we live long enough, pretty much everybody we know is going to pass on. That's the downside. The upside is we don't really lose them, and they become part of our team. Well, let's see if someone else has a question before we start our sharing sessions. But thank you again, dear one, and good to see you always. Last chance for a question, people. Ellen, yes.
Hi, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes.
And I don't know if this is relevant, so if not, just let me know. You mentioned during your multiple mystical experience that you had an olfactory hallucination or experience along with others. And I am asking now because I realized in the last 2 months, I've had I'm starting to hear things when I'm meditating in the morning, definitely noises that are not in my head or seemingly in my head. And then paired with that later in the day, I'm noticing a stinky smell. It's I kind of look around. I live alone. I kind of look around wondering if there's something rotting in the room, and there's not. So you mentioned a beautiful smell, and do you have anything to share about, something that's negative?
Sure. Well, first of all, this stinky smell, do you smell it in different places or just one location?
Um, it seems, well, it's maybe happened like now when I became aware of it, it was probably it's now I know about 5 times. And it's in my house in different areas and like standing in my bedroom next to my dresser, which has nothing to do with, like there'd be nothing right there, but that area, I guess, has some significance in terms of like I spend a
Mhm.
lot of time in meditation looking at
Mhm.
where I was standing now that I
Oh,
think about it.
okay. All right. So, it could be something, since they're all in your house, it could be something. You want to check that out. For example, your heating and cooling ducts. One time we had a dead mouse, and it was in the system. It was up against a heating element, and sometimes we would smell it, sometimes we wouldn't. So you may want to check with your heating and cooling people to check out that possibility. But let's say it's a expanded perception, then what you can do in your meditation is, and you also could do it in the Ask Your Soul Angels in the Light technique audio program, is to just ask, okay, gang, what's up with this stinky smell? If it's a sign, what am I supposed to learn from it? What's the message here? And then just listen and see what pops in. So do that. And same way, anytime you perceive someone, let's say you have a dream or you see someone's image, just communicate with them. And that's part of this realizing that Earth and the quote afterlife are not so dissimilar. It's all here now, right next to each other, just a different vibration or frequency. And when we upgrade our frequency, we're more in touch with those who have changed worlds. So just talk to them as though they're really there, because they probably are, and just say, okay, what am I supposed to learn here? Who are you? Do you have a message for me?
Well, I've started to talk to them out loud because one of my favorite shoes has gone missing, and I've searched the house for it. And it's not the first thing that's gone missing or the first odd thing that's literally appeared out of nowhere. And so, and I make, I give it ultimatums. Still have the shoe has not shown up. I put the other one in the middle of the room. And when I see it, I go, oh, that's the shoe, trying to like get my mind into the groove of coming upon the shoe.
Yeah. Well, there's two main possibilities with that, Ellen. And one is that you're being you're being contact. In other words, loved ones, let's say post-material beings, are giving you signs. They're testing you, like, okay, is she going to notice this? I mean, that's a pretty good sign if you put a shoe somewhere and then it's gone. You don't have any puppies around the house, I take it?
No, and it's
Okay.
not, well, like
Okay.
even when we had a puppy, when my kids were home, so there was more than one of us, one of the watering bowls went missing.
Okay. All right. So the point is that they could be testing you and saying, hey, we're here, through obvious signs, because sometimes we humans are a little dense. The other possibility is that you have a stuck spirit, and right now I can't, here we go. Um, kind of like a ghost, a spirit that's maybe stuck attached to your house, and they're being capricious. Um, and so you also may want to say, hey, if there's somebody that's kind of stuck or trying to get my attention, pray for them, encourage them to go into the light. So those are the two possibilities. Pursue them both and then let me know how it goes, okay?
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, with that, let's move into the sharing sessions. And the sharing sessions are an open, respectful place where you can share with others. We mentioned that so many people feel alone and feel like they can't talk with others about. Well, in these sharing sessions, you can. We have moderators who have been trained and been with our group. And moderators, would you raise your hand, please? So people in your group will see who you are. Okay, and so they'll kind of shape the discussion, make sure people don't monopolize and so on. And so in these, you can discuss the keys, anything we've talked about today, or anything else at all. And these usually last around 30 minutes and can go a little longer if your group is really rolling. So I hope that you will join us for our next meeting, which right now is something that's never happened before. My Zoom is taking up my entire screen. I can't see my notes. The next Tuesday is at April 10th, I think. Allison, if you just check and give me a yay or nay.
No, April the 7th or the 14th. Which one?
14th.
Yeah, 14th.
Okay. All right. We'll have our next meeting. It's 8 p.m. on Tuesday. And our speaker is going to be Elizabeth Boyson, the incredible person. I think she's part angel. She started Helping Parents Heal organization. She's an author. She's a mother of 4 children, 2 of them in spirit. And incredibly, within a week after her son Morgan passed, she started looking at ways to form a higher energy parents grieving group and created, I think we have 35,000 members now around the world and 30 some countries. So powerful, helps so many people. And this is partly to help the parents heal. It's partly to honor the children and create more meaning from their passing. But there's also an emerging meta vision from this, and that is practically changing our world for the better. Elizabeth will share with you that right after her son Morgan passed, he was 20 years old. He's climbing Mount Everest with a college group and through a pulmonary embolus. But he started communicating with her telepathically. Mom, working with us kids, that is, kids who have passed on, can help save the world. And that's where I'll be presenting at the keynote, 1,100 parents at the Helping Parents Heal Conference this summer. But it's discussed in article number 119, Greater Reality Helping, 119. So you can see, and this, by the way, all this started after that act as a team experience I had. So it's really exciting, and you all can be part of it and share your greatest gifts, and then someday say, yeah, I was part of that team that was a tipping point and turned life around on Earth. All right, so we hope to see you there. Thank you for sharing this. Again, get hold of us if there's any way we can help. Mark@soulproof.com. Let it shine. God bless.